Hey YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Look, it's 15 to 25, so at this time of year we seem to have 10 degrees Celsius between our coldest and our warmest, so yeah, the mornings are pretty good. A little bit overcast today. We had 3 millimetres of rain overnight, yet out west in Wandi they had a 70 millimetre storm, and look, we would just love to have that. So it's just one of those things. You've got to be a lucky bugger to get it. Now you'll see we're over at the 135 here, and we had friends Jody and Dave. They stayed Thursday, Friday again on their way home from their holiday. They went. They had booked at the Bargara Caravan Park, and there was a site where they could see out over the ocean, and they went and checked, when they went to Agnes, and yep, no worries, they can have that site. And when they came back to Bargara Caravan Park, well, the people said, oh, can we just go to our site? They said, oh, we gave that to someone else. And they said, well, we booked that for, we actually booked that. And they said, oh yeah, but look, there's a site up the back. So they went up the back and they jammed them in between two little caravans, and they could look at what caravan one side and the caravan the other, and no ocean, no nothing. And so they went down to talk to the people about it, and then someone else wanted a particular site, and they said, oh, we'll just put you in there. And they, the lady said, oh, well, that's booked for someone else. And they said, oh, we'll worry about that later. So at Bargara Caravan Park at the moment, sounds like a bloody shambles. So they rang us and said, look, can we come another night? And I said, yeah, bloody oath. So we had Jody and Dave Thursday, Friday night again, and that was good. They had a lovely time up at Agnes in 1770, and they went on the Lark, which is it's a pink army duck, an ex-army duck, and went up to Busted Head Lighthouse, and oh, they loved it. They were still a bit excited about it. So yesterday was Father's Day in Australia, and yeah, so not a working day. And we had the kids and grandkids and all that over for lunch, and later in the afternoon, I didn't go, but Tim and Ellie took Jude over to where their wedding reception is going to be in March next year, and they had a look through there and checked all that out. So that's all organised. I didn't go on that. My neighbour up the back, that's always been just trouble for 20 years, he rings me up on Friday night and said I had to be there Saturday because he was having a meeting with the backhoe bloke, and he was going to clear the fence line, and he was going to talk to me about the money later. And I said, what? He said, oh yeah, he said, I want the fence line clear. He said, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. And he asked me could he pull the wire out of the fence quite a few months ago now and clean around it. And I said, yeah, all right. And he had someone helping, and he said, oh, you can come and do this and that. And I said, no, look, I've just got stuff happening. I'm not interested in the fence. I'm not doing it. I did it all last time. And so anyway, he got on to me. He was going to get me to help pay for a backpacker and all that. And I agreed to chuck $50 towards that months ago. But so he rings up in all important on Friday and said I had to be there, and they were getting this bloke with a big tractor in, and they were going to put chains on top of these old wattles and drag them over, and he'd be talking to me about the money later. And anyway, I was laying in bed thinking about it because it pissed me off a bit, and I was laying in bed thinking about it. And back when we fenced the place, Judy and I bought the block, and we couldn't find a couple of survey pegs, so we went and saw him and said, where do you think the boundary is? And he said, oh, it's back here. Well, back where he told us it was, it's out in the back in the middle of Bundy Bear's shed here. So I went and got the whole block surveyed, and I got the proper pegs put in, and where he was telling us to keep off his property, it turned out that the corner post of our property was in the middle of his driveway, middle of his track. So he didn't like that. So anyway, I went and put a post there. And so Judy and I did the back fence, and just split post and 4 wire, 4 or 5, I think it was. And when you do this is how I do it anyway, you put all your posts in, then you bore for your wire, you run your wire, then we go along at the end and just dock them all off at the same height, in case there's a little variance. And we hadn't got to doing that, and he come over and said, oh, this fence, it's looking terrible. You haven't got the, they're supposed to be even. And we said, well, yeah, we're doing that. It's just, but at the time I said, oh, well, we've supplied all the wire, all the posts, and we're doing the labour. How would he like to contribute? And he said, oh, he didn't want to contribute in any way. So I had a head of steam about that. And anyway, Jude says, look, you don't argue with your neighbours, just let it go. If I only knew, it would have went right. I would have went right off. But anyway, the fence down the side there is just an argumentative bugger. So what I did, I actually built the fence in my place. So it's not a boundary fence, it's just a fence in my place. So, and what I did was actually, where I got the surveyors to put in pegs where the strainer posts were, and where that line was, and I put the strainer posts, so the edge of the strainer posts were on the boundary, but all the split posts and all the wire and all that was, look, a good 6 inches in my place, so I didn't have to worry about it. And if something happened to the fence, we didn't have to argue about it and all that. I just said, I'll do my own thing and just keep out of it. But anyway, he's pulled all the wires on the fence and all that sort of thing, and he's sort of bossing me around a bit with what he wants done. And I was laying in bed thinking about it, and I thought, I bet he's got no idea I put that fence on my place. So, so yesterday, with all the rigmarole, and I don't know when he done it, and I kept a lookout for him, and he didn't ring me when this bloke was there, but yesterday morning I come out, and here's some of my trees in my place with white tape around them. There's other one with red crosses on them that my trees have to be knocked out, and he was going to just order this backhoe and knock me timber over and send me the bill. And I thought, oh, well, that wasn't quite happening. And so yesterday morning, before our visitors come, we have a couple of survey sites on the other fence line still. And so we measured across and got the tape and measured across, and then we put in from pegs and so we could get it right. And where I thought the fence was, that's where it is. That's pretty bloody close to where it is, where I thought it was, and or where the boundary was, just outside the fence line. So, so I went and I marked the boundary with a piece of a big run of electrical fencing tape, and where it touched our fence, well, I wrapped it around the fence when it touched the strainers, and and we used that as string lines when we put the original fence in, and just brought the posts in off it. So just so we didn't have to put up with the bloke. And anyway, so yesterday. I rang him and he couldn't talk. He had stuff on the stove, so he hung up on me, and I thought, oh, fair enough. Then in the middle of lunch, we're having the middle of lunch, next thing my phone's ringing, Lance, and the phone in the house is ringing and my mobile's ringing. I need to talk to you. And I said, oh, look, I said, we're in the middle of Father's Day lunch. And but anyway, I should have hung up, but I didn't. And so I went outside and had a yarn on my phone, and he said, what have you done on that boundary? And I said, well, I don't know, but I said, you probably think that fence is right on the boundary line. It's a divide, don't you? And he says, well, it is. It's been there for 20 years, so that becomes the divide. And I said, well, no, it's actually, I've put a white tape there, and that's where the boundary is as close as I can work it out. If you'd like to contest it, there's no trouble. We'll just get it surveyed. And but yeah, the fence is in my place, and so sort of ordering people in to do work on my property, get stuff ready so you can put the fence up. I said, it's not your fence, it's my fence, and if you'd like a boundary fence put up right on the line, I'll be happy to do that, but we'll get a contractor in to do it. And oh, no, he said, I'm not arguing with you. He said, oh, I'm over arguing with neighbours. And I said, oh, all right. So anyway, I said, well, where that line is, I believe that's the boundary. Do not bring a machine onto my property. Do not knock my trees down. I said, some of them I'll agree do need coming down. And but I said, I've got a chainsaw, I've got a John Deere with a front end loader, I've got all the shit I need to do the job. And I said, I'm not just paying some cowboy to come in that hasn't even got a front end loader. He's just going to hook a chain on and drag them out by the roots, he reckons. So I don't know how he's going to do that. But anyway, if he's doing it, I might watch. And anyway, so we had to have a few words yesterday, and I said, just keep off my place and just don't send anyone on my place. I will not be contributing. And he said, oh, it's only $600. And I said, I don't care. I said, I'm just not doing it. I'd rather do my own work myself at my own pace. And I said, look, I wouldn't mind cleaning it up, but I said, I've got a few busy weekends coming up and I mightn't get to it for 2 or 3 months or something like that. But I just couldn't see the sense in someone dragging all our timber out, then later on me looking for firewood. I can drop them into firewood and store it and let it dry and all that so myself. So I said, look, I will do it, but anyway, if you want to contest the boundary and a couple of posts, the horses rubbing their arse on them and they're way over in his place almost. Yeah, the tops of them are anyway. So anyway, so he's not arguing with me and he's going to wait till I've done what I'm doing, then he'll do what he does. And I said, well, anything on my side, I will do. Anything on your side, I don't care if you get the Queen of England in with a backhoe. Your problem, you're doing it, you're paying it, just don't get me involved. So anyway, so we had to start the day off with a bit of that, but the result of that was, you'll notice lately I've been wearing me boots instead of me thongs, me flip-flops. And back years ago I got stuck in a tractor and got my leg all smashed up, and from time to time my left-hand ankle, just swells up, and it has been doing that. And with my thongs on in the shop, I was having a bit of trouble with it, so I went and bought a couple of pairs of boots, and it seems to hold it straighter, and it has been better. But anyway, yesterday with all the wet grass and that early in the morning, Jude and I, we got the tape out and we spent like 2 hours back and forth across the paddock, and the paddock's 120 metres wide, so it's not big, it's only a little 8-acre block. And we went back and forth and checked measurements and put pegs in so we could measure from there again and all that. But the end result was yesterday afternoon, my right knee and my left ankle, I was flat bloody walking home. And so I didn't come up the shed here and bug around. I just rested up a little bit, so when I wanted to go have something happen up here today, well, at least I wasn't too rooted, I could do it. So, but anyway, I'm not too bad today considering, yeah. So I'm looking for jobs I can sit down doing, and that's all right. Just to take a bit of a load off. Next weekend, Judy and I are going to Woodgate for the weekend. We have a house. We've rented a house down there for the weekend, so we're going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday evenings, and we'll whiz home early Monday morning and get the car for Jude, so Jude can whiz into work and I can stay home. But I'll come up the back here and root around with tractors, and hopefully I'll get the stew done. So yeah, there won't be an awful lot of tractor work done next week, but we'll just see. But in the afternoons, I'm always puttering around doing stuff, and yeah, so we might get some progress done. Some of the stuff I've been doing on this Multipower tractor, I've decided to leave in the stews just a walk around of what I'm doing, and any repairs, like doing all this sort of stuff, I'll probably put into the Multipower playlist, because the stews they get dated. You know, they're something that's happening in my life or in my shed at this particular time, and some of the tractor repairs that people might like to see, they don't date really. You know, putting a water pump on, putting a front casting on, and all that sort of thing. That's all relevant all the time, sort of thing. So I'm going to split that up a little bit. The stews will still have the walk around at the end, and you know, just a bit of a poke around the shed, just to keep everyone informed in what we're doing around the shed for those that are interested. And but yeah, so this week there'll probably be a Multipower video on what we're doing to the tractor, and plus a bit of a walk around on the stew. I've just drilled this plate out here now. In the Fergie Club, in the Harry Ferguson Tractor Club of Australia, look, if you've got a Fergie in Australia and you're not in it, get in it. It's just a great thing. There's a Harry Ferguson Tractor Club of Australia.com.au website that Queensland Tractor Spares, we pick up all the bills for, and they've got a good technical page. There's a fellow, Vern, tells you how to check generators, and I contribute a little. But anyway, look, they have a great newsletter, and in September next year, 2021, one of the Queensland coordinators has organising a tractor trek to leave from Charleville in Queensland and go out through the Channel Country. Now it's in the Fergie newsletter. I might try. I'll see if it works that I can photocopy it and get it on the screen so you can just read the quick story. And Lynn and Lloyd are doing it, and they're Fergie coordinators. And it's going to be a few weeks and probably a couple of 1,000 kilometres. And I'm talking to Biddy, and he reckons they might be getting up to Winton and that, but I haven't spoken to Lloyd yet to get the details. But that's the goal for this. Judy said she's going to come along too, so that helps out an awful lot because we camp in the back of the Colorado Ute. That means I haven't got to take all this camping gear and build it all in, and I haven't got to build so much onto my tractor. I'll have to take fuel and bits and pieces, but we don't have to do that. So I'll try and keep you informed with that. That's September next year, so we've got a year to get everything done and ready and tractors registered. And look, the rate I'm going, I'll shit that in. But then you don't want to just be putting the last gear stick on, screwing the last gear knob on and putting it on the trailer to go on a run either. You want to do a few runs around town and have a bit of a check. The shed's creaking and crackling a little bit just at the moment. I'm just checking, looking around the lens to check the camera, make sure everything's still going. So I drilled this out. Now this is the stud pattern. That's 3 3/8 by 6 inches with 3/4 bolts. Now that's to go under the drawbar at the back, and we're going to build down on that, and that'll become a drawbar, but it'll also become a stiff bar for towing that we're going to run through the centre of the tractor. So I've started the engineering on that. I haven't got the right size stuff here. I went to town just now to do other jobs, but I didn't get round to that. Took Kelly dog for a run. You'll notice since last week there's no front on the tractor here. I puddled around through the week after work, and I wanted to put a new water pump on, and so and also I had, here we go here. I don't know if you remember or not, but the crankshaft pulley has always had a hunk out of it here. So I've had this pulley here home for months, like probably years, since I first started on the tractor. So I took the front off. I have a brand new bolster, new cast housing, as the old one had been all brazed up. So that's going to go on today. The new timing seal's going in today. The pulley's going in today. Now, you'll see I had the old water pump off. It was shagged. But look, I used to slash with this tractor, and I wasn't leaking, but just from sitting, the cooling system's quite dirty. So we'll probably do a back flush with that. You'll see, yeah, I've got the camera down low today, so you can see me sexy legs really. But anyway, no, it's just, you'll notice I've cleaned the housings here, and I've just put a little spray of grey primer there. So if you have a 3-cylinder Perkins and for no good reason it dumps water into the sump, be aware that this timing cover, it has a plate there, but some people don't put it in, and the cavitation, and you can just see a little couple of ripples there, the cavitation can eat through your timing cover here and fill your sump with water, and you'll be popping the head off and doing all sorts of silly stuff, but it's just coming in through here. So this is a quality tractor part that I like to use, and it's a stainless steel plate that I use there. And look, it's just a personal choice. And so what we do, we put this stainless steel plate there. The part number for that is 3623H004. We sell them on our website. So I've put a little bit of primer there. I'll put this stainless steel plate there. And look, do it once. Yeah, so no trouble with that. I've got a Sparex timing seal for the front cover. That's an S43348. Sparex didn't sponsor these parts. Some of them they did, but they're very generous with me, so I don't hit them up for everything. And I take some on myself. I have a budget with Sparex, and it's up to me how I spend it, but I just don't hit them up for everything. They're very generous, so so I just went into the shop and I bought this seal for myself. The pulley, I think it might be an old quality one. I can't remember what I've done with the box now. Oh, there it is round there. It is. Yeah, it was a quality one I bought years ago, 62612, and it's that old. See how it's all faded, and that's how long I've had this tractor. And the new water pump going on, I'm using a Sparex water pump. I like the Sparex water pump, an S60149, and on the 135, the difference between the pump on a 135 and a 35 can be that it's a square bolt pattern, not a trapezoid bolt pattern. So we've got a nice new Sparex water pump there, comes with the bolts in it. So I'm hoping to get that fitted up today. The radiator, when I pulled the radiator off this tractor, it's had a new re-core in it, and it's a cracker. It's a nice open core, it's a heavy duty core, and it's in really good order. So the radiator, because I can see the dirt and shit in the cooling system, the radiator is going to get a back flush, and I'm going to use the original radiator. I reckon it's a beauty. Now, for the thermostat, now on the thermostat here, you'll notice I've knocked the guts out. Now, when you're doing remote trekking, you don't want something like silly as a thermostat sticking buggering up for you. Now, in Australia, when we start off of a morning, our temperature, look, it's nowhere near freezing. In September out west, it's probably like this, 10 to 12, 15 degrees, and as soon as you get going for the day, you're up in the mid to high 20s. You can hear there's a bit of cloud coming over, and you can hear the shed creaking. So what I'm choosing to do on my trekking tractor is, Perkins have put a thermostat here for a couple of reasons. When the tractor's cold, it holds the temperature into the engine here, so it's at a good running temperature for good combustion and all that. So then once it gets up to operating temperature, see, it bypasses to start with, and you know, circulates through. But then once it gets to operating temperature, the thermostat opens, and it opens that much, and the water comes into your top tank and comes down, and away you're going. And so if you're driving in snow and ice and really cold conditions, this thermostat may not be right open, or it may cycle up and down a little bit, and you'll see that in your temperature gauge. You'll see it vary sometimes. And look, I've seen them vary heading into a headwind. They just drop a little bit. So on the trekking tractor, I don't want any trouble with that. That's the hole, that's the size of the hole that Perkins said is maximum flow that they need for cooling. So I've knocked the guts out, and I'm just going to leave that restriction in full time. So on our tractors, you don't just jump on them and head off. You start them up, you walk around them, you know, check the oil, do a check, start everything up, and warm everything up before you go belting down the road flat out. So in Australia, the thermostats are not as important. Now, if you have a thermostat that has a foot on it and a bypass that opens and closes, well, it is important. But on my trekking tractor, just for trouble-free trekking, it's going to have the restriction. And look, I suggest people do that. If you have a troublesome thermostat, everyone says, oh, if you don't have the thermostat, the water will run into your radiator too quick and it won't cool and come back. And look, in trucks and things like that, I have seen that. But if you put the restriction from your old thermostat in, that's the flow rate that Perkins recommends with the thermostat right open when you're warm. So that's what we're doing. You'll notice the back end is on. We've got the back end on. I ordered my rear tyres through the week. We're going with 14.9/28, and that gives me a dynamic rolling radius, and that means, well, a dynamic rolling radius is 634 or 35 millimetres, something like that. It might be 639. And that means that the rated load for the tyre at the set pressure from the factory, you know, your tyre bulges at the bottom a bit. So if you look at the whole tyre might be, I think it's 1350 diameter. But if you just take half of that, if you go front and back, that's the centre. But if you go up and down, well, because of the weight of the tractor and the load on the tyre and the pressure and all that, well, they're saying with the load and their recommended pressure that that tyre will sag. And from the figures I've got, it looks like it'll sag around 50 millimetres. So the centre height drops about 50 millimetres. So it's still quite a big tyre. So that's a good thing. And through the week, I did ask Sparex, did they have a spare set of rims, 12-inch rims hanging around, a nice new set. The wheels off this, they were pretty tall, 12.428s, but they were really tall tyre, but they were skinny. I've decided to go to the wide cushiony tyres, just a bit nicer ride and that, and a tall diameter, which should help me with road speed and things like that. So that's about, the hydraulic pump. If you remember last week, we pulled the hydraulic pump apart and that little shaft and the needle rollers were buggered. Well, I went and ordered, I had in stock actually, the shaft and the needle roller bearing. So I brought that home and had a look at that, and I don't know, I couldn't help myself. I had to pull the back off the hydraulic pump, the Multipower pump, just to make sure it was in good order. Multipowers need good flow, and I just couldn't help myself. So I pulled the end off the pump, and the shit that had been through there with that block filter, the pump was very worn. So I thought, not to worry. I'll have a look at the 188 pump, same story. So I can't put the hydraulic pump in, but to get measurements and work out a bit of direction, I've actually put the tractor together with half a dozen bolts to get the length. We have to have different foot plate lengths and all that, and I've put the bushes in the bell housing for the brakes. They got nice new bushes they came, so there's plenty to do on it. It's just working a bit of direction. So I'll go handheld. We'll do a quick scout around just to show you what I've been talking about, but the putting on the water pump and the buggering around there, that'll be in the Multipower series. So hang tight, I'll go handheld for a bit. Here we are on my messy bench, and there's the new shaft for the, I'll just put that on autofocus now. I've been keeping it off autofocus. So I've got the new shaft and the new needle bearings, and the gear is good, but in the Multipower housing there, you can really feel this is the better one of the two, and it's a 188 one, and there's a lot of wear there. So we're not going with that. You can see now, I've been buggering around with the pump here. I've taken all the pistons and that out, and this goes okay there. Now, on the other end here, this is the wobbler that keeps the it keeps the control valve moving so it doesn't stick, and that looks like it can go down there. Now, with a bit of tie wire around here, we can actually tie that in place out of the way. So that's happening. All that and the pistons and all are coming out. I'm actually going to weigh all the parts that we've taken off this tractor, just out of interest. So there's a brand new pump going to have to be ordered. They're not cheap. So anyway, that's just how it is. Now if we swing around quickly, that's the tractor assembled. This here, that's one of the mudguard brackets. Now if we swing around the top again, those big square mudguards up there, that's what we're tidying up and putting on it. And they have a separate bracket, like a heavy bracket. And with these holes here, depending on what size tyres I put on, I have a lot of adjustment up and down, so I can set the guards where I'd like to have them. That's part of the advantage of doing it this way. I have the brake shoes sitting on the final drive over there ready to go on. I have a couple of Sparex S40827, brand new brake drums to go on. We may or may not get to that today, we'll see. But yeah, with the tractor sitting all together there, it's yeah, starting to take shape. That's the new brake shaft bushes we've put in, so I may get that in later today, we'll see. When we come around the front, I spoke about the pulley and the water pump and that. There's our new bolster. That's as soon as the water pump and pulley are done, that new bolster's going on, and we're going to set that up. And we've bought actually out of AgriLine, I've bought a kit for remote greasing that, so that won't be too bad. Then the old water pump and the thermostat housing there, well, that's going to get all bead blasted, sand blasted up, and away we go. All this front end there that's just laying over there with the oil cooler. The oil cooler needs a big straighten out for the Multipower. You can see that needs quite a bit of work. Just straightening out, so that'll be okay. Now that's the front weight base I've bought for it, and those two rims there, they're 12 by 28s, and the part number of that is S61712, and Sparex gave me those for the project, so that's a good thing. It helps out a heck of a lot. Now the radiator, it's just a lovely core, that, and it's dirty, but it's just a lovely core, so we're going to use that. Looks like the tank's had a bit of a rattle from time to time, but I don't know if you can recall or not, but this tractor had a tree dropped across the bonnet, and if I take you for a little walk over past the tractor, hung up on the floor over here, that was the old fuel tank, and you can see where the tree had been dropped on it. Then it had a patch put in it and all that, so that's up the front end, so maybe the bonnet and all that come down and give the radiator a bit of a bash while that was happening. So who knows, we have a new tank there for it. The steering box is going to need work. Now I'm pretty sure I'm going to take the power steering off. We have the power steering pump there and all the hoses. Now if I take it for a little walk outside, I hope the sound stays with us. We'll just have to see, I suppose. And this is where the front axle fell off the forks. So I was buggering around out here and it slipped over, and I thought, oh bugger it, leave it there, I'll sort it out later. But you see the repair done all in through here. That's why it's getting a brand new bolster on it. I'm not going to risk that. It may be fine and may not be, who knows. I do have to get this fella off, but yeah, that's where it fell off, those cylinders and all that. I'm not going to sell the power steering, but I'm probably not going to run it on the trekking tractor. And the only thing, I'm going to sell that front end. If anyone's looking for a solid axle front end, it won't be much. And I'm going to keep the hubs, and I've got new wheels coming for it that I haven't ordered yet, but they will be on the way. And when I paint one set of wheels, I'll paint the lot. There's nothing wrong with these, but these will actually hold another tractor up off the ground. They're 616s by the look of them. They got 750 16s on them, but I reckon the rims, what size are they saying? No, it's not. It hasn't got the size stamped into them. I was wondering if it had the size stamp, but $449.11, whatever that is. But anyway, it's got light truck tyres on it at the moment, but we'll get all new stuff. These track rods, They're pretty crappy. I'm probably going to put 35 ones on. Yet to make my mind up there. But yeah, when we come around back in, oh, yeah, old Kelly dog. Hey, what do you reckon? Kelly and myself just went to town. Kelly's a bit sore around the back end. The old Sansa, we do a bit of babysitting for the young bloke with his dog, and they get a bit rough with each other buggering around. They had a bit of a blue the other day, but Kelly likes to run up the back and run way ahead of the ute, but Sansa sort of tackles her and trips her, but she's a bit sore around the back end, so she's having a bit of a rest. So the John Deere, I still haven't got parts. They were supposed to be there last week and they were going to call me. They didn't ring me. I forgot to ring them too. So it just wasn't on my radar. And this little fella here, well, yeah, we'll get back there. The wheel turns. When I run out of parts for one, I can jump over to the next one and see. But I'm sort of telling myself when I get around to painting the bonnet and that for this one, I better paint the bonnet for that one over there. Because that's a nice tractor, but I've just never done the bonnet. So we'll have to look at that. Okay, that's a little walk around. Well, there you go. There's our little walk around. Yeah, hopefully I'll get a bit done today. Like I say, I had to go to town earlier and buy water pumps and things like that. So it's mid-morning, late morning Monday. So I'm way behind with, yeah, we had our, with our friends here Saturday, and then I got a bit done Saturday half, but then Father's Day and having to mark the boundary. I'm running a bit behind times, but that's all right. It's not a race. But hopefully today I'll get a little bit of this front end finished. That generator's going. I like to have alternators on my tractor to keep everything good, especially for doing, when we're setting this one up particularly for a purpose, to just do some tractor runs over the next 10 years or something like that. I was sitting there looking at it before thinking, the motor used to run fine. I could do me slashing. It never burned oil really. It was just a good thing. Maybe a little bit breathy, but nothing serious. And I chose not to do the engine up. And I was looking at it the other day thinking, it's the only thing I haven't bloody done. I bet something goes awry with that. But anyway, if it does, we've got the engine out of the harvester tractor. It's only done 750 hours, so we could have one out, one in quite quickly if we needed to. But look, I had no cause to believe there was anything wrong with it, so we'll go with that. So that's it for this week. Thanks for dropping by. Hopefully I'll get another video out this week with just a time and seal and just documenting a bit what we do to this tractor. And it just dawned on me the other day about doing the diff mods in the stew and all that. I probably should have had them on the Multipower playlist, but anyway, doesn't matter. We'll get there when we can. Have a good week, everyone. I don't know what's going to be next week's stew because we'll be away for Friday, Saturday, Sunday evenings. So, and then I might have to come home and unpack or go to work. We just don't know how it goes. So if there's not a stew next week, I'm probably not dead. Might be, but probably not. And hopefully you have a good week, everyone. Stay safe, get out of this COVID bullshit, and we'll catch you next week, eh?